Maniacs, welcome back to the channel, doing another reaction, another dead meat reaction. Of course, this is one I really been wanting to get out of the way, which was the Gremlins 2, the new batch kill count. So if you guys like this type of content, want to see more content like this, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. If you're new to the channel, share the content. It does mean a lot. And let's go ahead and dive into this video, and I'll give you guys my opinion after and during the video.
Welcome to the Kill Count, where we tally up the victims in all our favorite horror movies. I'm James A. Janice, and today we're looking at Gremlins 2, the new batch, released in 1990, six years after the original. Gremlins 2 proudly mocks the very concept of a Gremlins 2, which Joe Dante thought should never exist in the first place, even though Gremlins was a record-breaking hit for Warner Brothers.
The first one is Warner's third highest grossing film ever.
Dante felt the original had a proper ending.
Makes
and
sense.
was too worn out by its stressful puppet-filled production. He declined to make a sequel that would only be for profit, despite how much the studio wanted it. Warner Brothers spent the 80s trying to do it without him.
Wow, so yeah, he didn't even want to do Gremlins 2. I'm not sure if it's, no, I'm pretty sure it's the same director. I want to say, maybe, I don't know, we'll see.
With ideas that included sending the Gremlins to Las Vegas and, of course, outer space. Eventually, they caved and gave in to Dante's demands, so he would give them a sequel. And what did he ask for? 5 times the budget of the first film and complete creative control. I know people think of the director as a film's highest boss, but they're not. And complete creative control is not common for them to have. Dante decided to wield this power with absolutely no responsibility, making a self-deprecating, self-aware sequel that was sure to alienate audiences. He and returning star Zach Galligan called the result Unfiltered Dante. Gremlins 2 moves away from horror entirely, turning the Gremlins into wacky villains who are basically cartoon characters. Dante clearly has a love for that kind of thing. Thus, this movie's opening segment featuring Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck. And thus, why he'd go on to direct Looney Tunes Back in Action, which I maintain is easily the best live-action Looney Tunes movie. Suck it, Space Jams! Gremlins 2...
Honest to God, though, as much as nostalgic as Space Jam is, I actually have to kind of agree that, well, to me, actually, Who Framed Roger Rabbit is like, you know, not the best Looney Tunes, but is like my personal favorite when it comes to like the live action animated, you know, meets live action. That's kind of my personal favorite. But yeah, I completely understand and I agree with Back in Action being a better movie overall than Space Jam. Space Jam, when you look back on it, I watched Space Jam not too long ago. Actually, I watched Space Jam before I watched the new Space Jam that came out. And it did not hold up as well as I wanted it to be honest.
Annihilates the entire concept of sequels. The original Gremlins exists as a movie within Gremlins 2, and Gremlins 2 itself is revealed to also be just a movie. It's straight up manic, with gag after gag, and no real focus on story beats or realism. I mean, at one point, a guy rides a secret pneumatic too. This shit is dumb as hell, and I love it. What's great about Gremlins 2 is that I
should probably have specified, I don't hate Gremlins 2. I don't care for Gremlins 2. It's not really my cup of coffee. Gremlins 1 to me is phenomenal. Gremlins 2 is kind of parodying, of course, of the first Gremlins movie. It's very self-aware of what it's trying to do. And I really thought that they could have continued Gremlins in a very cool, creative way. In all honesty, I didn't think we needed to make fun of it. I thought it was such a cool idea and cool concept. I'd love to see it get a continuation, and I think we're going to be getting one. I'm hoping they go with the puppets, too. I really don't want to see CGI Gremlins.
It's still a fully competently made movie. The gags are clever, the characters are enjoyable, and there's plenty of satire to go around. Joe Dante intentionally made a bad movie to mock the studio, and it still ended up being a lot of fun. It's more evidence that he's one of the most underrated genre filmmakers. And I'm not just saying that because he was nice when I interviewed him at his house that one time. Quick note, this movie is so insane it caused a first in Kill Count production. Since my return, most episodes have a first draft written by either Tim or Jeremy. Then I'll do a pass, adding information from both my and Emma's extensive research. And then Zoran will do a joke pass, from which I pick and choose his jokes.
You can always pick more.
I pick enough. But this movie was so batshit, fucking literally, that all 4 of us writers had to do full passes on this thing in hopes we could explain what was happening on screen. Did we succeed? We fucking better have. I worked hard on this final amalgamation. But I'll let you judge for yourself. For the last time in 2022, let's get to the kills.
Nice. Okay.
The movie begins with a Looney Tunes short, portending that this about to be a silly one. That's a title card, folks!
It literally sets the tone.
That's stock footage from Superman 4: The Quest for Peace? Okay, sure. Whatever tells us we're out of Kingston Falls and in the Big Apple now. We revisit Mr. Wing in Chinatown, where a group of corporate cronies are trying to buy his shop. They're working at the behest of Daniel Clamp, a New York City businessman who's always compensating for something.
I develop the biggest buildings in New York.
Daniel Clamp is a clear riff on then New York nuisance Donald Trump, whose boisterous ways and shady dealings made him unpopular in the Empire City. Gremlins 2 initially positions Clamp as the villain, but it ends up going easy on him, partly because of John Glover's wide-eyed, boyish performance. Mr. Wing ain't interested in selling, which is a problem for Clamp, since this guy's not going anywhere.
The death of Mr. Wing removes the last obstacle
Sad.
to developer
Mr.
Daniel
Wing, yeah.
Clamp's long-delayed Chinatown project.
Okay, never mind. Wing dies of off-screen-itis, a deadly disease that afflicts nearly 60% of all kill count victims. With no one around to run the store or check on any weird primates left behind, the demolition crew lets her rip.
Gizmo.
Oh damn, compared to his range of motion in the first one, Gizmo might as well be doing parkour here. I mean, Gizmo can walk now, though he might want to walk a little faster than that. Across town in Times Square, we meet back up with Billy and Kate, who are saving up to get married by clocking into corporate jobs at Clamp Tower. The skyscraper, played by 101 Park Avenue, is modeled after Trump Tower on 5th Avenue. Other Trump influences on Clamp include his autobiography, which looks very similar to Art of the Deal, as well as his obsession with metallic decoration, only Clamp uses silver instead of gold. Kate's moved on from slinging drinks to slinging facts as a tour guide, and Billy is, the concept artist for this movie. His chain-smoking boss is Marla Bloodstone, whose attitude is as dramatic as her choice of lipstick.
It's a nuclear meltdown disaster, I mean it.
Billy's trying to get promoted, but that's gonna be hard with Security Chief Forrester getting all up in his shit over a potted plant. Forrester is played by Robert Picardo,
this douchebag.
another Joe Dante regular, and silver medalist in the Werewolf Transformation Olympics of 1981, after they decided to get...
Makes me want to watch The Howling, man. I haven't seen that one in a while. I might do that tonight. I might watch The Howling. I have not seen that one in a good minute.
Since making Clamp the villain, Forrester picked up the slack. He shows it by firing fellow Dante regular Henry Gibson.
That's an unauthorized break period, my friend. You don't work here anymore.
Back to the burbs with ya! Clamp Tower is more than just an office building. It's also got a TV studio, where Joe Dante cameos as a director. He's shooting Grandpa Fred, the Grandpa Munster-looking horror host who's suffering from a mid-death crisis.
I went into broadcasting. I thought I was going to do news, public affairs, something meaningful.
Fred's played by Robert Prosky, last seen on the kill
cool
count
job.
making weird noises in Christine. The character is inspired by the way Al Lewis reprised Grandpa Munster in the late 80s as a horror host.
Hi, it's me, Grandpa, and I'm gonna be your host on Super Scary Saturday on the Super Station.
Like me, Grandpa
the
Fred
Super
wishes
Station.
youths would give black and white films a chance.
You know, Fred, you should run some of the classic horror movies like Frankenstein or Dracula.
Yeah. All the great horror movies are in black and white. Mr. Clamp only likes color.
This is a direct shot at TV mogul Ted Turner, the other inspiration for Daniel Clamp. Turner colorized lots of black and white movies in the late 80s for his TV stations. You know, for anyone who wished the zombies in Night of the Living Dead looked a little bit more like piss. Clamp Tower also has a genetics research lab. Sound crazy? It is! But it's got a fun name, the Splice of Life, and an awesome evil scientist in charge. The
Played
horribly
by
named
Christopher
Dr.
Lee.
Catheter, played by legendary winner at life Christopher
Love that
Lee.
guy.
His cloned flunkies Martin and Lewis show him their latest acquisition, Gizmo. They make him dance to Fats Domino, which shows off how far the animatronics had advanced. Original Gremlins effects artist Chris Wayless was unable to return for the new batch. He was busy doing effects for and directing The Fly 2, Fly Harder. His replacement was Rick
I have
Baker,
not seen that
one
one.
of the most successful special effects artists of all time. He redesigned Gizmo from the paws up, and even made him cuter than he was in the last movie, but his cuteness doesn't help him escape Sauron's grasp. Billy's tipped off to Gizmo's whereabouts by a delivery guy played by Raymond
was cute in
Cruz,
both films,
who we
though.
saw in
He was
Alien
cute,
Resurrection, and who you've probably seen in Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. His future co-star Dean Norris appears at the end of this film as a SWAT team member.
Move, sir.
There's so much Breaking Bad in the Gremlins films. Billy acts as a technician
kinda
to
awesome.
get past this snotty girl/boy/Pat. While the scientists are busy making ratteries, Billy finds Gizmo, who remembers the kid he spent a few days with 6 years earlier. Billy re-kidnaps him and pulls a 28 days later to cover his tracks.
Nice.
Billy sticks Gizmo in a filing cabinet where the Mogwai breaks his little hand.
God, that made me cringe so bad.
Like I said,
Poor
Gremlin technology had come a long way since 1984.
Gremlins 2 was actually a lot of fun to make, and Gremlins 1 was not a lot of fun to make.
But Mogwai Zero was still the smallest and most fragile animatronic on set. That's why he spends a lot of the movie in a little Gizmo Gitmo. But hey, judging by his on-set behavior, maybe he deserved it.
Here's your coffee, sir.
A surprise visit from the big Clamp himself cuts the reunion short. But don't worry, he's just a normal guy like everyone else.
Look at the kids with the kites. That's warmth.
Okay, so yeah, the boss comes in, starts giving this guy compliments, and then all of a sudden his boss, the girl right next to the big guy, starts hitting on him. Crazy, dude, crazy. All because, you know, now he's looking like he's gonna be getting a promotion. Yeah.
He falls head over Gucci for Billy's art and pays him the highest compliment any CEO can, kind of learning his name.
Bill, huh?
The interest Clamp shows in him sparks Miss Bloodstone's interest in Billy's man thing. She invites him to dinner, and Billy accepts in order to keep her out of his other drawers. He asks Kate to grab Gizmo and Mogwai sit for the night, which is not her idea of paradise.
That furry thing?
I love how traumatizing the first movie was for everyone in Kingston Falls except Billy. Of course Kate would hate the little ghoulies. They're the second worst thing that ever happened to her on Christmas. Turns out between showings of Rambo, Gizmo's been watching MacGyver. If he also caught Addams Family, he might recognize original Gomez John Astin, showing off the world's most powerful water fountain. The jet stream ruins Billy's art and Gizmo's day when his lower lumbar supports new life all over again. This time, 4 new Easter eggy Mogwais are spawned. George and Lenny, named after the characters in Of Mice and Men, Daffy the hyperactive one, and Mohawk, who's basically just Stripe 2.0. The ungrateful kids force their Mogfather to go explore Nakamogwai Tower and let Daffy do his best Gizmo impression in order to fool Kate.
Gizmo, you're so hyper.
As Kate takes King Wrong home, Marla takes liberties with her business dinner.
Gosh, I'm feeling so vulnerable with you, Billy.
He declines a friendly game of touch footballs, but can't make a clean getaway from the so-called ethnic restaurant here in Clamp Tower, that ethnicity being Canadian.
How about some horn?
I'd say she's had enough. Between the red lipstick and the wrong rap thing, could this night get any worse?
Oh, surprise!
Fucking Futtermans. Reminder that they survived their bulldozing from the first movie, as mentioned in last week's kill count and the beginning of this movie.
He was just kind of rattled.
Well, I guess having a bunch of little monsters drive a snowplow through your living room could kind of do that to you.
Well, he was almost killed.
They're coping pretty well with the goblin trauma. Murray's nationalism hasn't skipped a beat.
Do you know they got Russian guys driving cabs in this burg?
By the time Billy and Kate try to swap Gizfo for Gizmo, it's after midnight, and the other furry fiends are taking snack baths and returning composer Jerry Goldsmith's Rocky Road. Damn, this froyo place open after midnight? Tell my DoorDasher where it at. They can just look for the place that's loud as a club.
I'd go too.
It's even got an after-hours Chippendales dancer as a manager. While most of the exterior shots were filmed in New York City, Gremlin 2's interior scenes were shot on sound stages at Warner Brothers Studio in Burbank, California. Jim Spencer returned as production designer to create this massive mall set, which cost between $6 and $8 million to make.
My
With
gosh.
fully stocked shelves and working elevators to its second floor, it was one of the biggest sets ever built at Warner Brothers.
It was designed so that you could take a camera and go into every store and go up elevators and out and shoot all sorts of things in continuous takes if you wanted to, and we did at times.
Billy tries to avoid a repeat of the first film by
That's neat though. I love it when they go the extra mile sometimes. I mean, I don't know if that budget was necessary. I mean, this was something I think studios were starting to kind of learn, and something that I think we're getting more used to now is that we don't need these giant budget movies to make good movies. We don't need all these giant budgets to make great movies. We don't need it. There's a lot of movies out there that really didn't even cost much of anything. I think Joker, maybe cost $1 million, maybe, if that, and it made over $1 billion. It's you don't need that big of budgets to make awesome gold stuff. So yeah, I think that's something we're getting better at.
Shutting off the building's water supply. But he's arrested by Burb star Rick Dukeman as a security guard who releases the Duffel Daffy. Better stop that little monster before he eats something.
He already ate something.
Oh, too late, I guess. Just don't let him snort baking powder then, or else he'll have muffins
He's
growing
so
out of his
obnoxious.
mouth. Kate posts bail at 9 o'clock sharp, but by then, we've already got a 3-grem omelet cooking. And Gizmo ain't gonna be much help. The gremlified Mohawk grabs the Mogwai and channels the first movie's crew as he tortures him with bright lights, Velcro, and making copies. 1990 was a great year for photocopy gags in horror movies. After Marla tries to get more sex blood from Billy Stones, she's caught by Kate, who decides they should divide and conquer. Billy preaches the 3 commandments to the building security team, who responds like snarky commenters online.
What if one of them eats something at 11 o'clock, but then he gets something stuck in his teeth?
What if they're eating in an airplane and they cross a time zone?
The filmmakers knew the rules were flimsy the first time around, and this was their chance to officially poke holes in them.
I mean, it's always midnight somewhere.
Oh, wrong kind of poked holes. The Play Pals worker survives the attack, and we get a great first look at Rick Baker's ooier gooier gremlins, now 100% more bald and slimy. Wait, does slimy count as wet? What about the wetness, Joe? Billy scares off Mohawk, who, like his predecessor Stripe, is voiced by the Cave of Wonder that is Frank Welker. Howie Mandel returned as Gizmo, of course.
Of course.
Voices were done by Mark Dodson, Nancy McConnor, and Kirk Thatcher, whom we just saw on the kill count in Werewolf by Night. Kate tries to keep calm and carry on with her tour-giving duties, but her Paula Deen pit stop is interrupted by a surprise guest. Microwave Marge is basted into submission in a callback to the kitchen scene from the first film. But this time, George has learned from his ancestors' mistakes. He uses it against his human oppressors and triggers the sprinkler system. Before you know it, baby's got back babies. Ew, even more. NSFW sometimes. But hey, we're getting a look at gremlins being born in real time. Looks like they come out fully formed, like those dumb-looking protomorphs or whatever. In the security room, Forster finally notices the creatures multiplying like Land Before Time sequels, but he still doesn't report it to the boss since he knows how busy
that ain't the truth,
CEOs
man.
can be.
If that ain't the truth, I used to watch Land Before Time as a kid, but dude, they came out with so many sequels. It got ridiculous. I still think they're making sequels to the Land Before Time.
Let's do some memos.
And
Unfortunately
Scooby-Doo.
for Clamp, his receptionist gets replaced by a gremlin off screen, and that guy is way worse at dictation. Clamp gets some payback by sending this teenage mutant kind of turtle into the shredder. Is it weird if I think that gremlin would taste good with chips? Billy arrives with Forrester to warn Clamp that they have to close the building before sundown to keep the gremlins from getting out into the city. Clamp is 100% on board now, so they just need to meet up with Kate, who's currently stuck on a faulty elevator.
Sound alarm.
Damn you, Gremlexa! The gremlins and Russ Thorne attack Kate, but she manages to fight and fight and fight and fight and bite until village person Daffy sends the elevator plummeting to the ground. Kate survives, but the gremlins get turned into Nickelodeon slime. It's a little confusing to count these out of focus shots, but the top appears to have 9 gremlins and the busy bottom about 19. So let's put 28 on Daffy's
Made
tab.
sense why,
Crashing
broke her
elevators
fall.
can't stop all the gremlin mayhem, and they wind up on another TV set with famed film critic Leonard Maltin. He's giving a review of the original Gremlins film.
What's fun about a movie full of ugly, slimy, mean-spirited, gloppy little monsters who run amok and attack innocent people?
In real life, Maltin also gave a scathing review to the first Gremlins movie, calling it icky mayhem. Dante invited him to cameo in the sequel as the movie police, and Maltin agreed to come on and get killed by some gremlins, sticking their nasty claws down his throat. Despite his untimely demise, he gave Gremlins 2 a much better review. Over at the science lab,
of course he did, because he was in it.
Loose.
But I just never found it to be better than the first one. No way, no way. Yeah, he was in it though, so why not, right? But, gosh. I don't know much about the reviewer. I just personally, I like, and I'm all for opinions. Opinions are opinions. If you love Gremlins 2 more than Gremlins 1, I completely understand. Don't get me wrong. More power to you. That's awesome. Glad you love it. Great stuff. First one is just too much of a classic for me.
What on earth is going on?
Said the man holding a pod from the original Invasion of the Body Snatchers, which appeared in the first movie as well. In fact,
I've never seen that.
Dr. Cushing Catheter is one gobbledygooker-sized Easter egg. He's played by Christopher Lee, of course, who played Dracula in the Hammer horror films. The character's first name Cushing is named after Peter
Saruman,
Cushing, who always foiled Dracman as Van Helsing. The Gremlins break into the Noun Project labeled potion beakers, allowing true cartoon insanity to unfold. Their escapades give us all kinds of gremlins, like veggie Vegetable Gremlin, Electricity Gremlin, and Bat Gremlin, which works as a nice nod to Mr. Lee. This scene is, of course, what inspired one of the greatest Key and Peele sketches ever.
You just said noun and gremlin, like you playing Mad Libs. You just like a child. You have the brain of a child.
If you've seen this movie, you have to watch this sketch. It's the best form of esoteric humor. A lot of these extra gremlins were conceived of by Rick Baker. He was initially hesitant to work on a sequel with creatures he didn't create, but agreed to the job as long as he could make more diverse gremlins and mogwai.
Every day that we shot, we made up stuff. Joe says, what are we gonna have him do today? It's like, well, I don't know, what do you want him to do? He goes, well, have him throw stuff,
I love how everyone has a Joe Dante impression. No, I don't think there's too many gremlins. You could probably have even more. The leader of Noun Gremlins is Brain Gremlin, whose thinking juice allows him to talk.
I wanna
talk a little bit about what's going on in this room, because I think there are some fascinating ramifications here for the future.
The now nearsighted Brain Gremlin is voiced by the departed Tony Randall, best known as the uptight Felix in the Odd Couple TV show. With the power of thought, Brain Gremlin injects Bartok Gremlin with genetic sunblock. It allows the Daybat to escape, leaving only cross-promotion in its wake. The Bat Gremlin's movements are mostly done through old-school stop motion, using puppets created by Doug Beswick. Beswick also created the stop-motion puppet for the dancing Deadite Linda in Evil Dead 2. The puppets used ball and socket joints for the points of articulation.
Reminded me of that,
with a flexible foam latex that was painted by hand. Lucky for New York, Bat Gremlin restricts its attack to one fetter man and one fetter woman. Murray's weirdly specific PTSD crawls out of its mental dungeon, and he attacks the Bat Gremlin, covering it in wet cement until it looks like a gray peanut butter baby. The bat takes off and lands on a nearby church, where it becomes a gargoyle, threatening to ruin an otherwise great Disney animated movie. Fuck you, Jason Alexander! The original Gremlins screenwriter, Chris Columbus, wasn't available to write the sequel since he was busy directing Home Alone. Taking over for him was Charles S. Haas, who cameos as Dr. Catheter's assistant. Dante and returning producer Michael Fennell told Haas to go absolutely nuts with the script. When he originally pitched Gremlins Take Manhattan, he planned on including more sightseeing around the city. Warner Brothers flinched at the price tag, so he narrowed down the chaos to an impossibly large skyscraper. Hey, at least it wasn't a cruise ship, dude. That skyscraper is getting messy though, since the salad bar is under attack. NFL legends Dick Buttkiss and Bubba Smith attempt to beat their vegetables. Utter chaos unfolds, including an appearance from serial sex offender Gremlin. Since Gremlins 2 is more cartoonishly violent than the first film, counting kills is a little tricky. Sure, those people might have gremlin rabies now, but they're not dead, Here, I'll count this Wilhelm screamer. If that sound effect is good enough to kill a stormtrooper, it's good enough to kill this guy. As an evacuation occurs, Billy arrives to hear Catheter give a redemptive monologue.
There's some things that man is not meant to displace.
And some things they are, like a film reel, but not in the middle of the movie. Come on! These gosh dang gremlins have gone more meta than Scream. They swap out the movie's third act for an old nudist exploitation flick that may have inspired that DOA Extreme Beach volleyball game. This massive breach of the fourth wall was inspired by one of Dante's favorite movies, the Olsen and Johnson comedy Hell's a Poppin' from 1941.
Just a moment, Woody. We're having a little trouble with this film.
That film also featured its stars interacting with footage from other movies, and made jokes using the film medium itself.
Hey, how did you get up there? How did you get down there?
The audience, or the fake one, doesn't like it.
I can't believe this. I mean, this is worse than the first one.
The usher there is Paul Bartel, previously seen on this show, not eating Raoul in Shopping Mall. There's only one man who can make these gremlins say their prayers and take their vitamins.
Hulk Hogan.
Okay, you guys, listen up. People paid good money to see this movie.
I'm glad wrestler actors have gradually gotten better and better. This was Hulk Hogan at one of his most popular points. He was in the middle of 2 back-to-back Royal Rumble wins and a mercifully short string of starring movie roles. Hogan hulks up and yells at the Gremlins to finish the movie, and they oblige, lest they get themselves body slammed like Andre. When it came to this infamous meta moment, Warner Brothers was afraid that real audience members would think the film actually broke and walk out of the movie theater. Test audiences proved them wrong, but when Dante and Company made an alternate interruption exclusive to the VHS, rental stores did get an awful lot of returns. And for the record, if you're watching that version, it adds 3 more Gremlin kills to the count, courtesy of John Wayne. Consider that your cut comparison. There was no new sequence for the DVD release, but a Belgian fan named Sasha Feiner made their own version as a short film in 2008. Fun stuff, since it sees the Gremlins inserted into a bunch of movies, including The Exorcist and The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. Finally, for the novel novelization of the film, this part sees Brain Gremlin attacking the author and writing the next couple of pages,
my
during
gosh.
which he discusses a Gremlins manifesto. Back in Gremlins 2, like the real Gremlins 2,
Oh,
Grandpa
good,
Fred has
good.
failed to drop dead and is fulfilling his dream of becoming a news anchor. His one-man crew is Mr. Katsuji, a wayward member of Kate's tour group.
Can you work a TV camera?
Work a camera? I am the camera!
Yeah, he'll make
Good
an
answer.
anchor man out of you. Katsuji is played by Gere Watanabe, who definitely gives it his all, but man, do I hate this character. It's such a lazy stereotype of the photog Japanese tourist from the 80s. Which happened, by the way, because that was right after Japan had its big-time economic boom. Japanese citizens could afford to travel way more often, and knew cameras well because of the country's longtime companies like Nikon and Fujifilm. The more you know. These two had
The
better
more
get
you know.
rolling because the Gremlins are way ahead of them in shots. They're serving up calf juice and theater kid juice and what is that?
There's that,
Surge?
yeah.
Billy, Forrester, and Catheter get back to the lab where Forrester meets our first female gremlin. It's Greta Gremlin, alliteratively named as an homage to the great Greta Garbo.
Bitch, you had me in little gremlin but JJ.
Greta's in a mata hurry to get laid and sets her sights on the security honcho. While they sin against nature, the doc tries to pull out a gun, but pulling out catheters only results in pain. Billy manages to free his army of one hand, but the electricity gremlin challenges this
And
solo
kills it,
man
yeah.
to a wizard's duel. The light is burned out of the Wicker Man, who should never have messed with nature. Twice the pride, double the fall. After Catheter dies hard, Billy is shot at by Mohawk, who now has a machine gun. Ho ho ho. He's
Mohawk
also
is pretty
got
scary
a
looking.
spider potion. Ho ho no! Billy meets up with Clamps just as Electric Gremlin places a call to collect his life. Somebody saves him! Billy, who traps the Gremlin by putting him on hold forever. Best not do that to your Gramplin and Gremlin, Bill. Despite the Gremlin's Muzak imprisonment, Clamp figures this is the end of the world. He changes his TV station's programming accordingly.
We hope you have enjoyed our programming, but more importantly, we hope you have enjoyed life.
This is based on an actual tape Ted Turner kept on hand.
A lot of
in case
inspiration
the
for
Cold
this
War
movie.
got too hot. There's also an excellent, creepy as fuck horror take on it on Local 58, the scariest YouTube channel I've ever watched. They hatch a plan where Billy will do most of the work.
Okay, I'll
and
check
the
it
boss
out.
will take all the credit. They'll trick the Gremlins to the lobby by setting the clocks forward to nighttime, then drop a big fake night sky curtain and give them some of that world-famous New York sunshine. Clamp uses his pneumatic bank tube of an elevator to get outside. Ooh, any dum-dums in there? Mr. Futterman sees him and somehow avoids the entire city's eyeballs as he slinks into the tube to get inside. Meanwhile, Grandpa Fred says, fuck it, he'll do it live! He does a sit-down interview with Brain Gremlin, which shows off how well Tony Randall's voice performance was served by Rick Baker's animatronics. Baker used a machine called a Gilder Fluke to interpret Randall's pre-recorded dialogue into muscle movements on the puppet's face. First, they'd go through and program the upper lip, then go through again with the lower lip, then the tongue, and then finally the jaw. It took a while, but the end result is impressive.
Yeah.
The interview goes well.
Pretty awesome.
Until Brain goes full Joker and kills a gremlin wearing a silly hat.
Was that civilized? No, clearly not. Fun, but in no sense civilized.
I love Fred's casual get the fuck out of here move. He ain't going out like De Niro. Kate finds Marla caught in a spider
Smart.
web. The femme fatale admits that she hit on Billy, but that he was a good loyal boy. So Kate seemingly forgives her, just in time to see an oncoming spider gremlin. With Billy and Mr. F miles away, or maybe like a room away, hard to tell in this place, who could come save Kate and Marla? Oh shit yeah, OG Grogu! Where
And
the
he
hell
has
you
a
been, little
freaking
buddy?
bow
Oh,
and
that's
arrow.
right, getting absolutely tortured by Stripe V2 Mohawk, who has now become the Spider Gremlin. Gizmo's been montage training so he can take his revenge. Equipped with the staples of war, Gizmo shoots his Gizmo into the Spider Gremlin. It kills him, burning him down into a patented, gross, gooey gremlin mess. If melting gremlins ain't enough of a direct reference to the first movie for you, don't worry. Mr. Futterman mentions Abraham Lincoln, which triggers another horrifying holiday story from Kate's childhood.
This man with this
Honey,
beard and a hat looked just like Abe Lincoln.
Honey, I really don't
Except
think we've
for the
got time for
raincoat.
this now, you know?
Billy must save a fortune on Hallmark cards. Also must save on Broadway tickets, since the show is being brought to him. It's time to play the music. It's time to light the lights. It's time to melt the puppets on the Gremlin show tonight.
These strange creatures now appear to be mounting what seems to be a musical number.
Brain Gremlin launches into a rendition of Frank Sinatra's New York, New York, which originated in the 1977 Scorsese film of the same name. This bonkers sequence puts the first film's bar scene to shame with a Rick Baker's dozen worth of gags, including line dancing gremlins, synergy gremlins, bartender gremlins, universal monster gremlins, domestic terrorist gremlins, and a super elaborate reference to the Depression-era Busby Berkeley musical Dames, with Greta Gremlin subbing in as the star attraction. Rick Baker had to design all these damn gremlins from scratch, going from sketch to sculpt to mold to rubber that then had to be painted and have hair punched in. So much work for such fleeting images. Most of these guys only last a single shot. Oh shit, sometimes less. Before our heroes can flash the rest, the forecast calls for a change of plans. With no sunlight to melt these very extra little guys, Billy skips the Tremor-style planning scene and just orders folks around, telling Futterman to grab the fire hose, Kate to go to a telephone, and
Marla, smoke. Thanks.
On his way to the hose, Futterman's Dilophosaurused by a gremlin with what I can only hope is snot. He retaliates by throwing the mucusy gremlin down an elevator shaft, killing him like he were Drake Ramore. Murray interrupts Gremlin Manuel Miranda's high note with high pressure from the hose. Billy cues Kate to put the call with Electric Gremlin through, which electrocutes the shit out of gremlins. Or more accurately, Electra-uglifies them. You thought stripe melting was disgusting? I mean, just look at this. So much, well,
melting.
I can't say what it looks like on television.
The hemogoblins turn into hemoglobin, and Brain Gremlin's plans to take over the world are thwarted. Thus ends another grotesque.
He was kind of a cool villain.
Genocide. There's no magic trick to figuring out how many gremlins were in this place, so I had to do it the old-fashioned way. Assign it to Josh to count. By his count, there were 445 gremlins who died faster than Brain Gremlin's Broadway prospects. Add one in for Electric Gremlin, who was used as a weapon and also, I guess, died. Thank you, Josh. To portray this kill-counting nightmare, Mark Stetson and his team created a quarter-scale version of the mall lobby. The set was elevated so puppeteers could operate the mini gremlins from beneath. When it came time for them to die, they'd pull on cords underneath the platform, causing them to crumple. Cool stuff. Clamp arrives with the cavalry and starts dishing out happy endings for all. He promotes Grandpa Fred and Mr. Katsuji to the news team, hires Billy to design a small Kingston Falls-like town, and begins an inappropriate office relationship with Marla. That last point was actually just a coincidence, not a nod to Donald Trump's extramarital affair with Marla Maples. That wouldn't become public knowledge until after production had wrapped. Oh yeah, Clamp also licenses
Marla hid in Trump Tower.
I look at him, you know what I see?
What's that, sir?
Dolls with suction cups staring out car windows.
And of course, those are actual things. Kate's happy ending is that she and Billy will get married, and also, I don't know, she's not dead. The movie ends with Greta Gremlin's happy ending, which is an actual happy ending. As the last of her species, she's looking to reproduce, so good thing she's found Forster. You're the man now, dog! Oh man, they're gonna fuck, huh? How many new kills does this new batch of gremlins
weird,
net us?
man.
Let's find out and get to the Let's find out and get to
God, scared me. Thought my computer was fucking up.
Brr, brr, for copyright claims, brr, yeah, brr. Hey, get out of here, critter.
Critter.
Munchies and Rizzy voices, yes.
What up, world? It's me, Brizzy, and today I'm going to be doing impressions of 80s horror films, starting with the classic Gremlins.
Gizmo, poo-poo. No. It's more like Gizmo, caca.
All right. If it's so easy, you doing an impression of me.
Okay.
Help! They're eating me alive! I've never said that. They're eating me alive!
Today we're looking at every evolution of Gremlins animated.
What's happened?
Oh, and the Mogwais too.
Fuck, Mogwais!
Well, hey, ow! Wait, we still haven't done Pinhead's evolution, no! Ah!
Drunk Disney with...
What did we learn from Snow White? It's one of the best movies of all time. It's the first full-length animated feature, and I think
watching this movie doesn't
Somebody get this gremlin out of here.
Dude, are you kidding? I would do Waxwork 3 in like a millisecond, bro. Will you excuse me for a minute? Hey, Gremlins, quit messing with the YouTube and just let James get to the numbers, okay?
No, I don't want it.
Otherwise, when we do a sequel, I'll make sure every single one of you is CGI.
Oh, that's a fear. That is a fear.
YouTube's all yours, James.
Thank you, Zach. God, you try to run a show around here.
That's a legitimate fear, though. Yeah, don't want to become CGI.
We played real loose with the rules here and counted 4 human deaths in Gremlins 2, all of whom were men, I think. Let's bounce this blue ball out of here, though, so we can see the 480 gremlins we counted. Holy shit. For comparison's sake, Gremlins 2 had 1 more human kill than the original, and more than 3 times the gremlin deaths. That's how you do a sequel. With a runtime of 106 minutes, that left us with a human kill on average every 26.5 minutes.
So he's probably about to give the Golden Chainsaw Award. If I had to give a Golden Chainsaw Award, I guess he would count Gremlins. I guess maybe. I mean, I guess you got to go with the Spider Gremlin, right? Mohawk, right? You got to go with him.
As for gremlin kills, well, we averaged 1 every 13.25 seconds. Goddamn! I'll give the Golden Chainsaw for coolest kill to the Call Waiting from Hell. Sure, it's technically a lot of kills, but come on, just look at that slop. It's the final meltdown. Dull Machete for lamest kill goes to Mr. Wing, because he didn't even get a death scene. And the gold medal for greatest gremlin obviously goes to Greta Gremlin. Look at her, she's fabulous. There aren't enough yeses in the world for this queen. And that's it. Gremlins 2 came out in 1990 and cost a shit ton of money to make. Despite their investment, Warner's opened it against Disney's Dick Tracy, which caused a box office return that nearly killed the franchise. Since then, all we've seen of Gizmo is in a Mountain Dew commercial, but there's apparently an animated series next year, so we can look forward to that. I hope everyone has been having happy holidays.
No kidding!
We'll be screaming in the New Year since our first episodes back in 2023 will be the Scream recounts, finally! Until then, I'm James A. Janice. This has been the Kill Count.
Okay, yeah, Gremlins 2, again, not really all for me. I completely understand why it's beloved. I completely understand why it has a cult following. I completely understand why people really enjoy it. I do enjoy it myself. It's not like one I hate. It's not one I'm like, you know, I'll go out of my way not to watch. I've seen it before. I've seen it several times. It's just, I'm more of a fan of the horror stuff from the first one, too. I like it when it has a little more of an edge to it, a creepy little edge. And less humor and less funny. Even though in the first one was, yes, of course, funny. It was cool. I liked it a lot. But the second one's fine. And I did not know there was an animated series coming out. So that might be something to check out. But guys, comment down below. Let me know your guys' thoughts. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel. Share the content. It does mean a lot. I post as often as I can right now. Not too much because fighting COVID. But hope to see you in the next video, guys. Support me on Patreon if you want to go the extra mile. Or become a member by clicking the join button down below. So until next time, keep it retro and do take care.